Today we're making a beef and broccoli recipe that I found on Pinterest. This is my go-to recipe for beef and broccoli. It's super simple and comes out tasting great every time. To the bowl we have 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of, I'm using regular soy sauce. The recipe does call for low sodium soy sauce, so I think it's fine either way. Just, I'm using what I have on hand. 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And 2 tablespoons of water. To get this marinade going, we're going to add the meat to this gallon Ziploc bag. You could marinate it in a bowl. You don't have to use this Ziploc bag. I'm using this because I just don't have room in the fridge for another bowl. Every time I open my fridge, it's like playing a live version of Tetris. Like, come on, fridge, just let me squeeze in one more item. So there are 2 ways you can do this. You can toss in all of the meat and marinate as is. Or you can do what I'm doing, which is separating each piece of meat as I'm tossing it into the bag. This does feel like a waste of time, but I like to do this so that the marinade evenly coats each piece of meat, because as you can see, the slices are stuck together fairly snug. Once you have everything separated, add the marinade. Let out the air and seal it up. I like to squish it a bit just to make sure the sauce gets all over the meat. I'm not actually squeezing the meat. I'm just, moving it around with my fingers, making sure everything's coated. Then we're gonna stick it in the fridge for 1 hour. It's time to cut up our vegetables. This recipe does not call for any onions, but today we're gonna use up this half an onion. I normally use a whole onion, but today all I have is this half an onion. This is a pretty big head of broccoli. The recipe calls for 2, but I think this is more than enough. In fact, I'm pretty sure I ended up with too much broccoli. I'm going to use this garlic press, but if you don't have one, you can just chop it up. You don't need to buy one. You don't need to go out and get one. I'm gonna start on the rice. To my pot, I'm gonna add 1 cup of rice and then 2 cups of water. Some people like to rinse their rice or let it soak in water first before they start cooking it. I honestly don't bother with that. To me, it tastes just fine the way I do it. We're gonna put it on the back burner on high heat until it starts to boil. We're gonna let it boil for 1 minute and then drop down the heat to low and pop a lid on it. And let it do its thing for 25 minutes undisturbed. I do end up moving it to the other burner out of the way. To my pan, we're gonna add some butter. This is salted butter, but you can use unsalted if you want. I have my burner on medium-high heat. Once it's mostly melted and the pan is hot, we're going to add the meat. Give it a quick stir. Toss in our onions, give that a quick stir. And while you weren't looking, I put together the sauce. We have 3/4 cup of stir-fry sauce with 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, the garlic we strangled earlier off camera, 3 tablespoons of flour, 4.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Go ahead and mix that in with your meat. Yes, you are saying this correctly. I'm adding my raw broccoli to my stir fry. I'm gonna steam it by adding in 1/2 cup of water and covering it with a lid from one of my big pots. If you're more comfortable steaming your broccoli in your steamer, that's totally fine too. Mine is rather large, and since I'm the one that does the dishes around here, I'd rather clean this lid and not my whole steamer. Broccoli doesn't take that long to cook. I think I checked it 2 or 3 times. Gave everything a quick stir and popped the lid back on if it wasn't ready. Here we're going to use a fork to check if the broccoli is done cooking, and it is. If you try this recipe, let me know in the comments if you liked it or what you did to make it even better. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you like this video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to my channel.